Verse 34. So the people took the dough before the yeast was added and carried it on their shoulders in kneading troughs wrapped in clothing. And here we kind of see the reason why they were supposed to eat, or why they could not eat normal bread, why they had to eat unleavened bread, is because the yeast was not added yet, right? They had the dough, but the yeast was not added yet. And the troughs that they had to do this in this adding and the kneading of it was wrapped in clothing. They can't now unwrap it, add the yeast, doing it, wrap it up again, and then a couple of days later or whatever, just leave. No, they were supposed to get out then and there. And if they didn't, then Pharaoh would have understandably got them back again. So this is ultimately a very simple explanation, and then pointing back towards the fact that physically it was not, logistically, it was not possible for them to have normal bread because of the way everything happened. And so since it happened this way, and in the spur of the moment, and the rest all packed, therefore God instituted this feast of the unleavened bread to remind them of how God did it like that. How the mighty Pharaoh, who counted himself as a god, who thought he will never let these people go, nothing will stop him, how God in the spur of the moment turned it all around and Pharaoh kicked him out. Verse 35. The Israelites did as Moses instructed and asked the Egyptians for articles of silver and gold and for clothing. Now, this is just a mention of they had to understand. It's not a question of in the nighttime after this judgment happened that now all of a sudden they're going to run to their masters at nighttime and tell them, give us gold and silver because we need to leave now. This is not the last minute packing. They asked before, okay, because they already trusted God that no, because Moses said this is going to happen, this is what they ought to do. I think I've seen like in some of the movies where it's like as if they at that moment went out to the masters to go and ask for it. Nah, that's not really going to work because it's not going to work. So they would have asked earlier as trusted God then in that sense. And that is as well the reason why God had to like change the hearts of the people and not just our fear. There were fear a lot. There were already 9 plagues. But still, this final one didn't happen yet. And so God changed their hearts so that all came from a heart of we want to give. And they asked for clothing as well. It's an interesting thing that I can't remember that was added in the previous verses. Verse 36. The Lord had made the Egyptians favorably disposed toward the people, and they gave them what they asked for. So they plundered the Egyptians. Again, it's a reminder, God said it before that he will, and now it's reminded that the people are reminded of the fact that God is the one. This is ultimately not Moses' work, the man Moses, right? This is ultimately not, even as a result of the fear of God per se, but this is because God changed the hearts of the people to stop and to give gratefully, right, with a thankful heart towards them. I kind of as well think of how just up in the mountain here in Kunoma, the people were like, it's worth it, but it's interesting, it's beautiful here, beautiful mountains and everything. Just don't come in to try and record for YouTube, that's all, or Facebook or anything. Don't upload to social media, don't be a fool, don't be those kinds of people. And so yes, anyhow. So they were speaking about how in the past they were headhunters here, and then because of Christianity they stopped doing that. So they don't need to live in fear anymore of other neighboring villages coming down and killing them. And they had the spear with the hair of people that they would take off the hair. They were supposed to have a ponytail the men, and then they would cut after killing them, and they hang it on the spear, and then the spear with human hair on them would show that this guy is a very good warrior. And how he showed as well there up in the village, how where people at gates had to meet, the older people, the people who could not run that fast or protect the village, they had to go into the mountains and hide out in the mountains and in the caves. And the young men had to gather at the gates, and then they go up to the forts, where they then would be a last stand and then fight against the other enemy basically. And either the villagers or the British in the 1800s and in the middle 70s, 1870s, 1890s, they fought against the Brits, and then in the 1900s they fought against the Indians for a bit. How ultimately from the fort, they show the fort up there as well, how this was used. But because they then became Christian, then there was no more this group fighting. And so they have been Christians now for about 150 years. In the 1870s, 70s, basically first Baptist missionary came here, and similarly Presbyterian Reformed people went down to Mizoram, where we are, God willing, after Shillong, which is Meghalaya, another Christian state, to the west of here, we are going to go to Mizoram and do some recordings there. But yes, so that, why I'm saying all of that is because to show how God changed, right? God changed them, that the people lived in. So it's not a fear. God changed their hearts, and now they don't need to fear the other villagers coming down and cutting off their heads and making a spear and cut the hair with the hair kind of idea. But now they believe in God. Okay, God changed their hearts, like God changed the hearts of the people here to give the gold and the silver. Not out of fear per se, because now all the children died, because this would have happened before then, as I already explained. Yeah, and the plundering of the Egyptians. So, well, in other words, it's not that they took, these people gave to them freely, but the plundering here just means that they basically took everything, right? But again, the Egyptians gave freely. So there's, I think people may be living up there. I think they're building something or whatever, taking care of. I don't know. So there's a bridge here going over the river. Road up into the village itself is rock, not like this, not dirt.